Happy New Year's Eve. Happy holidays. Happy Sunday. What is going on, everyone? It has been a minute since I have been live on the YouTubes, man. I think the last time I went live was well over 6 months ago. Well, no, about 6 months to be exact. It was for Secret Invasion. That show broke me, man. But we are here live, man, to discuss, as you all can see from the thumbnail, from the title of this video, the best of 2023. That includes movies and shows and, all the other stuff that we took in this year, movie trailers, performances. We can have fun with today's stream, man, because listen, like I said, it's been 6 months. Obviously I was still posting videos throughout those 6 months, but I wasn't live with you all. So this is, to show some appreciation for those movies and shows that I really enjoyed, that you all really enjoyed, but also just to kind of catch up with you all, and also just showing some, no, it's not Thanksgiving and whatnot, but I'm very thankful for you all support throughout the last year on YouTube and all the other various platforms that I'm on. So I just want to hang out with you all for a little bit and bring in the new year with some good positivity and some good discussions, man, which we always do over here. So man, I'm kind of thrown off. I'm trying to get used to getting back to because listen, one thing I will say when it comes to 2024, I will be doing more streams, more live discussions and bringing the watch parties back and some other various things I want to do with the live streaming platform in the new year. So I got to get back into the swing of things, man, because it's been a minute. It has been a minute. But before we get into today's fun stuff and talk about movies and shows, let me say what's up to everyone in the chat. First off, Sharon, showing some love before the stream even started, like hours ago. I think this was in here, and a super sticker. I don't even think there's a comment attached to it. Just showing some love. Thank you so much, Sharon. You always, this past year, you drop support on videos and all that different stuff. So I really do thank you. Hope you and your family are having a great rest of the end of the year, and hopefully have a great new year and all that good stuff. So I appreciate that love and support, man. And if anyone else wants to show some love on that level, besides just being here and thumbsing up the stream and whatnot, super chats and cash apps, all that stuff is open if you guys feel the need to show some love and support in that matter. But thank you so much for that. Nerdy Film Girl in the building, what is up? That side note, if you're still here, that video you sent me, did you make that video, that montage of movies from last year? If so, I saw a little bit of it. I got to finish it, but it looked pretty dope. But either way, how are you doing? Hope you're doing well. It was so great to be able to link up with you earlier in the year to talk about movies, and hopefully we can do more of that in the new year. So shout out to Nerdy Film Girl. Check out our YouTube channel if you guys haven't already. Spartan, what's going on? Happy New Year to you, my friend. The homie Taste Take, man. The show is great reason to take a break from lives. Yeah, man, that show broke me, Chris. But shout out to you, man. It's been a minute. I need to catch up with you and see what's going on your side of town, man, and obviously get Amanda in the mix, man. We gotta figure something out, man. I miss y'all, man. Y'all the homies. If 2021, Chris, if you're still here, when we first officially kind of did our Marvel string of shows, of after shows, that was one of the highlights of my channel throughout the 7 years that I've been on YouTube. That was so much fun, man, being able to link up with you and Amanda every week. And it's been a minute, man. We need to catch up, but hope you're doing well, Chris. Shout out to Taste Take, one of the best YouTubers on the platform, talking about reality shows, movies, and just so much great stuff. So shout out to Chris, man. Happy New Year to you, my guy. Let's see who else we got in here. Happy New Year. Hey, happy New Year to you, man. You listen, bro. You and your brother, if I'm not mistaken, are doing some great things on YouTube, and I know you guys do very popular on the X with some great commentary, man. So shout out to you, man. We gotta link up too, man. Do something in the new year as far as video collab or something. What's going on? What Nerdy say? Unfortunately, no, that person did. Oh, okay, so it was just a video. Gotcha. Okay. Nonetheless, it was pretty dope from what I saw from it. But shout out to Nerdy Film Girl. 2020 or 2021 for sure. We got yeah, man. That was fun times, man. That was some fun times doing those live streams, man. But shout out to everyone in the chat. If you guys haven't already, hit the thumbs up. I'm trying to get back into like I said, the swing of things, right? Just hit the thumbs up, share the stream, and leave your comments in the live chat. It has been a while, man. I'm so happy to be here with you all. But how's everyone Sunday doing? Is anyone doing anything tonight for New Year's? Do you guys party? Go get some drinks? Responsibly getting some drinks. What are we doing tonight on New Year's? Me personally, I'm just chilling, man. I am kicking back and just chilling. Maybe watching a few more movies to kind of tally up my end of the year. Some movies that some smaller independent films that I wasn't able to see that I'm gonna probably watch tonight, and just kind of chill, bring the new year on a chill level in preparation for what I hope to be a fantastic 2024. But let me know what you guys are doing for this New Year's Eve into the new year. Let me know in the comments. Maxine, what's going on? Long time no see. How you doing? All right, y'all. So let's see. How are we gonna do this? So I guess we can start by talking about the year that it was of 2023. And I think starting off with expectations going into this new year or past year. I guess I can bring it up here. I wanted to kind of go back and look at my most anticipated of 2023 and see how that stacked up. Did it live up to my expectations? Were the films that I was excited for? Were they the films that ended up on my top 10s list? Which, by the way, little plug. Obviously, check it out once this stream is over. But earlier this morning, I dropped my top 10 movies of 2023, and a really, really, in my opinion, really solid list of movies that I really appreciated. And as we'll talk about in today's stream, I really enjoyed this year of movies. I know that, from a blockbuster standpoint, a lot of the blockbusters that came out didn't do too well, not only financially, but also critically. So I know that was kind of a letdown. But there was, outside, and this is something I've always been conscious of, is like stepping outside of the box, right? Watching independent movies from all different parts of the world, watching, smaller independent studios, the A24s and Neons of the world, the Bleacher Streets of the world, and seeing what they have to offer and kind of fulfilling that, again, not having the best blockbusters here, those smaller, and of course, if you saw my list, there were some bigger known films on my list, but most of the other films were, again, small independent films that will probably be making some award buzz come that time of the year. But nonetheless, man, I thought this was a really, really good year for film. If I'm being honest, again, plug. If you see my top 10s list, the top three movies, which were the only 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10 movies for my personal taste, were also, I would put those movies in like my top 100 films of all time. Again, I won't spoil what those top 3 movies are, but if you followed the channel and my taste in movies, you might be able to predict it. Or again, plug. If you saw my top 10 list, you know exactly what movies I'm talking about. So a really good year, man. Really good year for movies, in my humble opinion. I'm trying to stall. Here it is. Top 10 movies, most anticipated movies of last year. Let me see if I can pull this up here. Put a 1 in the chat if you guys can see this. I'm going to share the screen and just do a little throwback. Take it back to this time last year, and see what movies that I have on my most anticipated list, man. Let me see. Oh, spoiler, there's number 1. Let me see here. Let's scroll. All right, let's see. Honorable mentions. Let's see the honorable mention. And again, let me know. Put a 1 in the chat if you guys can see the video. And if you guys, let me see the audio. I think is fourth. We have the new John Wick Chapter 4. You guys can hear that. Put a 1 in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat for me. I'm just curious, and let me know too, for those that are watching, if the movies you were looking forward to the most end up making your top 10 list, and did they, fulfill that anticipation level for you guys. Let me know. But let me see. Thank you. Put a 1. Thank you. All right. So I had honorable mentions. John, very excited to see what kind of crazy. By the way, I forgot to mention it in my personal honorable mentions list. It was I've only seen John Wick Chapter 4 once, and I remember in my review, and I remember seeing the film. Obviously, I really enjoyed it. It didn't stick with me through the rest of the year like the other 3 John Wick films. I don't know if it's just in the back of my head. I'm still thinking about the whole idea that they're obviously, if you guys don't know, they've been talking about this is going to be turned into a potentially part 5, which when I did my spoiler review and in an explain video, I kind of said I would imagine they're going to probably do a fifth one. But nonetheless, I still really enjoyed John Wick 4. It just didn't stick with me as some of my other films that made my list and some of the other John Wicks. But that was on my honorable mentions. Let's see what else do we have. Action sequences we can look forward to in this new chapter. The Undead, slated to come out later this year, and then more of the coming out this year. We got Maestro, the new biographical drama brought to us. You can see my review for Maestro. It's really good performances by Bradley and Carey, but ultimately the film just didn't work. It was, this is another conversation for another day, but a lot of the biopics, you know, the tropes for biopics for me, especially this year with Maestro and Napoleon, they skip through time so much. You don't really get to spend time with these characters and really kind of, you know, get into the minutia of their life stories for me. But nonetheless, Maestro was by Bradley Cooper. Really stick the land 2023 Guardians of the Galaxy Volume characters inside too. And last but not least, we have on April 14th. Renfield. Now, again, this is supposed to be a stream about positivity, talking about the best of, but you know, let's keep it real. I'm going to let y'all know some of the films that didn't work for me this year when we go through my Letterbox breakdown. But Renfield was on my honorable mentions, and this is one of the films that did not work for me at all. Like I was not liking the vibe, the tone, the bloody goriness. I love that stuff, how over the top and how brutal those moments were, but it just fell flat. And I like Nicholas Hoult, love Nick Cage. I like Awkwafina, but those three main leads just didn't really work for me, man. I was sad because I was really looking what kind of film it has its moments, but ultimately a little spicy. And I'm talking about my number 10 goes by the name of The Flash, coming out June. Wow. Okay. The Flash the clip audio is a bit louder. Okay, let me turn that down. Thank you, Maxine. The Flash, man. Listen, I'm gonna stand on business. I still stand by. I was a fan of The Flash. There are definitely some criticisms, some flaws, visual effects that didn't work at all. But the thing that kept me just sticking on the journey and really kind of sticking more on the positive was this film was the story of Barry Allen and the powers that he has, that have the ability to go back in time to try to stop his mom's murderer, but obviously affecting, trying to get his dad out of the prison. I really enjoyed that through line. And if you all don't know, Batman is my favorite comic book character, superhero. Michael Keaton's not my favorite Batman, but after watching The Flash, he definitely kind of leveled up, in my opinion, and kind of went up my rankings as far as, maybe in that top three conversation. Well, he was already top three, but yeah, I think I still have Bell and Ben Affleck to me are just two of my favorite Batmans. But nonetheless, I really appreciated seeing Michael Keaton back in a role. Sasha Calle as Supergirl was really fantastic. And it has some good moments, man. Again, it is very flawed. I'm very much aware of that. But I rewatched it a couple months ago, and it still works for me, man. So again, not saying it's a perfect comic book movie, not ignoring the flaws and obviously all the controversy surrounding it and the star and Ezra Miller. But I like The Flash, man. It didn't make any lists this year, honorable mentions or top 10 movies of the year, but I'll be sharing with you all in the coming days my top 10 superhero movies, comic book movies, and The Flash will definitely, no doubt, be on that list. But where's on that list? You'll have to find out. So that was number 10 last year. Very, very interesting. Let me, again, Maxine or everyone in chat, let me know, because I know Maxine said the audio on this clip. I mean, you don't even have to hear me talk, really. I can mute this. But let's see. So that was number 9. And we won't spend too much. I was just very curious on where my list was. Oh, we got ads running through. Shout out to St. Jude's. Definitely something to support. All right, so Insidious, Fear the Dark. Was that isn't the new Insidious the Red Door or something? So that was on my list. Interesting. I ended up seeing it much later than I anticipated, and it was fine. It was okay. I'm a fan of the Insidious franchise. The only scene that I liked about the new one was that I don't even remember. It's not even memorable. I don't really even remember the movie that much, besides going back to the original family and Patrick Wilson character trying to get his memories back. And the son is obviously grown now; he's in college. And yeah, I didn't really like it. It was okay. if I were to rank off top the Insidious franchise, Insidious 1 will always be one of my favorite horror films in the past, 10 to 15 years. I love that first film. The second one was a solid, follow up by James Wan. The third one was The Girl, right? And the only thing I remember about that third one was when she broke her leg. That demon was beating her ass in that movie. I felt so bad for her. But I remember she had broke her leg. And there's a scene in that movie where the demon comes in her room and like opens the door and walking slow. That's the scene that stands out to me. But everything else is I can't even remember the rest of it. The fourth one I think was the backstory or the flashback prequel with I think her name was Ellie or Elise. I remember liking that one. And that was like the key, the red key. I can't remember the subtitle. These subtitles are crazy. Like Fear the Dark. Sounds like a Goosebumps episode. But if I were to rank it, I would say one Insidious 1, 2. I would probably go 4, and then the most recent one, and then the third one's my last. So let me know if there's any Insidious fans in the chat, and if you guys like the most recent one. So number 8 for me was that Barbie? Yeah, number 8 for me was Barbie. Another film that didn't make any list of mine this year, but if you saw my review, I was one of the ones that leaned more in the positives. I really enjoyed the set design was incredible. I had fun with the characters. Some of the other, narratively speaking, some of the story wasn't entirely cohesive and tonally speaking wasn't consistent for me, but I had fun with Barbie. I've only seen it once. I have a screener for it. I'll probably check it out again as we get into the new year, and there's not as many new movies, so I'll probably go back and watch some of the films that I was either on the fence about or like in the middle about, and I'm going to revisit Barbie, just kind of see if I still think it's as good as I had it. I think I had it like a 3.5 or something out of 5. So Barbie was good. And listen, I love Greta Gerwig. I'm a big fan of her work. Love the entire cast. So let me know if there was some Barbie fans in the chat. And if Barbie was on your top 10 list or your most anticipated, let me know in the chat. Number 7 was The Killer, another film that I thought was solid. Didn't really make my top 10 list. So I don't think any of the films I was anticipating last year made the list this year. It's really interesting. Beau is Afraid, very, very, very interesting film. Shout out to Amanda and Kobe. We did a spoiler like 2-hour discussion breaking down the film, and I've only seen the one time. Again, another film that I have over there in my pack of screeners that I haven't revisited, and I don't know if I will, but it's a very artistic, experimental, weird movie, as I come to expect with Ari Aster. Killers of the Flower Moon, spoiler alert, that did make my top 10 list. Oppenheimer was number 4. That did make my list. So, okay, now we're getting into these are Spider-Man did make my list as well. So now we're getting into the territory of films that made the list. Mission Impossible, really good time with that movie. As I have seen it multiple times at this point. Didn't make my top 10 list, unfortunately, but nonetheless, still one of my favorite action movies of the past year. And my number one most anticipated movie of 2023, unfortunately, did not see the day of light, and that is Dune Part 2. We all know that the film was delayed till March of 2024, which I'm okay with. Let the film, get all the visual effects good, make sure everything's looking good, sounding good, and all that stuff. So that extra 4 months that it got, hopefully Denis has made it as great as he possibly can, which I know he can because he's the best director working in Hollywood. Denis is my favorite director, y'all. If you don't know, I love his films. He's such a visceral, cerebral director that I absolutely love his movies. So if you stay tuned for my most anticipated of 2024, this might make my list again, but is it number 1? You'll have to find out. So very, very interesting. The only films that made my top 10 list of this past year that I was anticipating was Oppenheimer, Killers, and Spider-Man. So 3 movies out of my top 10 made the list. And again, those other films were fine. None of the movies that were on my list that I consider to be bad movies. Some of them, like I said, were just okay or, didn't really stick the landing. So interesting nonetheless. So let me go to the chat, see what's going on here. Let's see. Same for me. I thought the action was great, but still prefer the first. Thought the action was great, prefer the first. Let me know if what comment that was. I'm trying to remember what I said about the first. Can't remember. But thank you for that comment, though. I mostly enjoyed it, but I was absolutely, I really laughed. Oh, we talking about John Wick, maybe? Yeah, John Wick. Like I said, I haven't revisited since seeing it in theaters. And again, I just don't have the desire to. Again, nothing against it because I love John Wick. But it didn't really stick to me like the other ones did. The only reason The Flash is on my worst list is because I didn't watch a ton of bad movies this year. I had fun with it though. Yeah, again, you're not the only one. I know a lot of people weren't had it on their worst list. I don't know too many people that had it on their best films list, but if they did, to each their own. But yeah, it was. I was so hyped for The Flash. That film came with so much baggage, and it really sucks that film kind of went through all the turmoil. Some of it was self inflicted. Some of it was out of their control. But nonetheless, hey, at least we can say we got a Flash movie, and I'm excited to see what James Gunn does with the new interpretation of the Flash in the new DCU. Standout scene for me was spaghetti analogies, probably the best explanation of time travel in movies that I can think of. Not sure if you used other movies before. Yeah, no, that was a really, exposition dump that was pretty unique in its sense as far as time travel can get so confusing. So no, definitely a cool film for sure. But besides that, again, 2023 most anticipated list was solid. But like I said, some of those movies I'm surprised didn't make my list because I was just so hyped from them. But again, it is what it is. I'm very excited to share with you all my top 10 lists of most anticipated coming later this week. I'll be sharing that. So with that, let's switch on over and take a look at some movies that we saw this past year, that I saw, I should say, that I am going to highlight. Because again, you only have 10. I only had 10 slots to share as far as my most best movies of the year. So I'm gonna kind of go through my letterbox here. Which, by the way, quick plug: if you're not following me on Letterbox, if you're on Letterbox, check your boy out. I'm very active on there. Like, as soon as I see a movie, I tend to besides doing like out of theater reactions for some of the bigger movies, I tend to write down my reviews on Letterbox and then kind of base my actual video review on those comments and obviously, iron them out, get more detail. But definitely check me out on Letterbox if you guys use that app. I love Letterbox. I need to upgrade. I'm only doing the free stuff right now, which is fine for what I use it for, but I definitely want to explore Letterbox. As you can see, a little ad there. Great. I do want to upgrade because I do love using Letterbox to document all my films and also share my reviews or what have you. But definitely check me out there if you guys haven't already. So Letterbox, we saw over, I believe I saw over 100. I'm at 151 or 152 of newer movies, not including all the rewatches and whatnot, but over 150 plus movies this year. And the first movie I saw last year was Otto. Who in the chat, let me know if you've seen A Man, and we're not going to go over each film. I'm just going to highlight maybe some smaller films that I wasn't able to talk about as much or highlight in my top 10's end of the year list. But who saw A Man Called Otto? I did, and I really enjoyed that film. Number one, Tom Hanks, phenomenal. Do I need to go over the man's resume? One of the greatest, in my humble opinion. That film broke me, man. Like, that is such a good. I did not all the marketing, which I think is a Sony Pictures film. The marketing wasn't all that great, and it wasn't like pushed that much. But when the trailer came out for the film, it made it kind of look like your stereotypical older gentleman who's just grumpy and kind of, has to meet someone of youth to kind of bring him back to his good glory days. And it has those elements. But let me tell y'all something right now without spoiling anything. This film is extremely dark and depressing, but it earns those moments, right? It eventually, he sees the end of the light, and it has, great earnest emotional payoffs. But man, I did not expect it to be that dark. The short end of it is Otto is someone who, again, grumpy older gentleman. He lives in like like a condo cul-de-sac type of situation. He's like that one neighbor that we've all either know or have known, or have someone that knows someone like this who's like, push the trash cans out at this time of the day. Don't play your music too loud. Don't walk on my grass. Like a very old, bitter, mean person, to say the least. But then you kind of, as the film kind of unfolds, you kind of find out why he's that way. as he meets this younger couple that's moving to the neighborhood, and they kind of bring out his good side of him. And as you learn why he's so kind of upset and mad and all that stuff, it's heartbreaking to say the least. But very much a fan of what that film had to say and what it had to offer, just about being kind and reaching out to people, man, and checking in on people. So I was very much a fan of a man called Otto, a sleeper, if you want to call it that. Otto was precious and heartening. Yeah, I agree. I've seen Otto. It was surprisingly good. Yeah, and I don't want to say surprising because it's Tom Hanks, right? You anticipate for such a great actor to give a great performance, which more times than not he's in a good movie, but sometimes his resume isn't perfect. But no, I very much enjoyed the movie, and yes, it is based on. I think it's another film, right? Yeah, that it's based upon, and they took, I guess, maybe different liberties on the story or whatnot. But yeah, I very much enjoyed A Man Called Otto. The Pale Blue Eye was okay. Christian Bale murder mystery, back in the day. Skinamarink. To my horror fans out there, who has seen the film they call Skinamarink? Ooh, wee, Skinamarink. My goodness. Mm-mm-mm. What an interesting film. Check out my review if you haven't already, but let me know if there's any people in the chat that's horror fans or just fans of film in general. If you've seen Skinamarink, I would very much be interested to know what you thought of that. Very interesting film. Megan, have fun with that. Alice, Darling was an okay film. Saint Omar is a fantastic, as we'll talk about later with Anatomy of a Fall. There's not too many courtroom drama movies made these days. Understandably so. They don't really, they're not the most exciting movies for the general audience. But Saint Omar is a amazing film that was produced by Neon that I really enjoyed. Missing, I had a good time with. Another horror film that I don't even remember seeing this film. I'm trying to remember. Is that the one with the nun? I can't even remember this film. You People didn't really enjoy. Baby Rudy was a solid kind of horror mystery film. I'm a big fan of Infinity Pool. I'm a Cronenberg fan, so I very much enjoyed the body horror, and Mia Goth is the queen of horror, if you ask me. Knock at the Cabin, I was more on the positives with that. The less we say about Quantumania, the better. Creed 3, man, it's unfortunate, not to get into the Jonathan Majors of it all. It's unfortunate that the film kind of, it had some good hype around it, and unfortunately all that stuff kind of came out. I think it kind of lost its momentum, but nonetheless, I still really much enjoyed it. Enjoyed Jonathan Majors' performance, as well as Michael B. Jordan making his directorial debut. Cocaine Bear, I wasn't really the biggest fan of. And let me go through some other ones here. Scream 6 is definitely a highlight for me. I'm going to try to highlight some movies that I didn't really get much to talk about. Inside with Willem Dafoe was a very interesting movie. Very, Willem Dafoe is one of the greatest actors ever to me. His acting was on full display in this film. He's a thief who gets trapped in this like super high end house and has to figure his way out and survive. And it's a really trippy movie. What did I give it? A 3 out of 5? Yeah, it was. The stuff I'm trying to remember, going back to the pacing. It was a pacing issue for me with this film, but it was a full display of acting prowess from Willem Dafoe. Dungeons and Dragons. I made a underrated movies of the year. I talked about that in that video. Very much a fun film. 1001 Man made my top 10 list, guys. I love this film so much. Air, I really enjoyed. I think it kind of it kind of hurt that it came out so early in the year that it might not get the appreciation from some of the more award-winning conversations. Our Netflix film, Kill Bastone, I believe is how you pronounce it. Fantastic action film that I highly recommend you all check out on Netflix. How do I get this stupid ad out of the way? Let's see here. What's another underrated film? The Covenant, man. If you guys haven't seen this with Guy Ritchie, Jake Gyllenhaal, a very good kind of war movie that was thrilling, had good emotions. I can't remember the actor's name that was the co-lead of this film, but he was fantastic. And Jake Gyllenhaal, as we all know, is a great actor. Really, really good underrated film of the year to me was The Covenant. Sisu, the John Wick knockoff, really interesting, bloody, good time with that. Evil Dead Rise, if you all have been following me all year, I cannot speak highly enough about how much I enjoyed that film. What else do we have? Some other sleepers of the year. Sanctuary, very much a big fan of this film, man. This is another, I believe this is Neon as well. I gave it what, a 4.5. Did I do an actual review for this one? One of the sexiest movies of the year. Did I leave a comment? I know I have a video for it on my YouTube channel. I didn't put an actual review here, but one of the most sexiest movies of the year. It is a self-contained story in a hotel room with Margaret Query and Christopher Abbott. These ads are killing me, yo. This is another reason I need to upgrade my letterbox so I can get these ads off of here. But wonderful performances. The less you know, the better. I believe it's streaming right now on Hulu, if I'm not mistaken. And again, guys, I don't want to give too much away, but just know it's involving a lot of mystery and a lot of sexual tension between the two characters, and just a great movie. Like, these are two of some of my favorite, I guess you can say, up and coming actors, even though they've both been working for quite a while. Now I'm trying to see if it's streaming somewhere. Yeah, it's on Hulu. So if you guys are looking for a nice, dark, twisted thriller, sexy film, because we don't get a lot of sexy movies, like I said, this is something that I would highly recommend you all check out. Definitely a big fan of Sanctuary, which, like I said, is available to stream on Hulu. All right, let's go to some other ones. And let me, before I get back to the list, let me see what you guys are talking about. See what any films you guys are pointing out. Nicole saying Oppenheimer was her favorite film. That's what's up. I'm very much a fan of that movie. So pumped for Joaquin. Got a Globe nom. Oh, he did? I didn't know. I mean, listen, regardless of how the film is kind of crazy and ridiculous, his performance was pretty great, for sure. I rewatched Barbie because my mom wants to see it. I'm glad I rewatched it because it confirmed my initial thoughts. To me, the first two acts were great, but then the third act falls apart. Yeah, I can agree with that sentiment for sure. But like I said, I got to revisit it just to kind of see if I still stand where where I was when I saw it earlier this year. All right, let's see. Let's go back and see what other movies that I don't think people are talking about enough. Let's see what else do we have on the list here of some 2023 movies. The Blackening. Shout out to The Blackening, man. When I saw this, a couple things that come to mind. Tim Story to me is a hit or miss director. I think he has more hits than misses, but when he does have misses, it really kind of lands, falls pretty flat on his face. But I really have fun with this, man, because this reminded me of like, and as I compare it to this, I'm not saying it's as funny or as good as this film, but The Blackening to me took me back to those times of the Scary Movie films, not scary movies, but the Wayne brothers scary movie films of like satire of making fun of the tropes of horror movies, but also playing into the idea that it's an all black cast. And for my people that share a similar skin complexion as mine, we all know the stereotypes and the jokes that comes with black people in horror films, compared to other ethnicities out there. As far as you hear a noise, nope, no thank you, let me go ahead and get back in the car, all the different stuff. It was a fun time. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe they announced there's a sequel coming out, which is exciting because, again, it might fill that void of those satires of the films that I grew up with, of not only like scary movies, but all those other spoofy movies that we just don't get. And I understand why we don't get them, because they're not that great. Like some of those spoof films that came out in the 2000s, like making fun of like 300, and they got really, really ridiculous. But we don't get too many. And this isn't like a flat out spoof. This is like, it is somewhat still grounded in reality. The characters aren't doing like crazy, ridiculous things, but it is, like I said, playing and poking fun of the horror tropes that we've seen a million times. So I was very much a big fan of The Blackening. And I'm really excited to see what they do with the sequel. And hopefully we get not only the people that survived the first one, but also get some new characters and a different setting, obviously. So I'm very intrigued to see what they do with The Blackening 2, which I hope comes out in the next couple of years or so, because it's to keep that momentum going. I really enjoyed The Blackening. Let me see. Is there any other films here that I didn't really talk about too much? The Angry Black Girl and Her Monster, really interesting concept. As you can probably tell by this poster and the title, it's kind of playing on Frankenstein. Long story short, this young lady loses her brother to gun violence. I believe her brother was killed by a policeman. which again kind of hits home on all the stuff that was going on for obviously decades, but in the last 3 or 4 years with the Black Lives Matter movement and everything that went down with George Floyd and all that is kind of playing into that idea of like a frustrated community, Black community, and she just had enough, man. So she, as you can tell by the poster, she tries to resurrect her brother. And again, the concept is really unique. Again, it puts a spin on the Frankenstein story. But what took me out of the film, the young lady who plays our lead, she was great. Everything else around her felt like I was watching, I don't know, like a Tubi movie. Like all the other performances, and no disrespect to the actor, I think it was more so the direction he was given and kind of the weaker script. It just didn't really work for me entirely. But I always want to support these smaller independent films, especially led by Black actors and directed by Black directors and writers. But this one just didn't work for me. I was hoping that it was going to be fantastic, but it didn't really stick the landing. But that's just my thoughts. Let me know if you guys have seen The Angry Black Girl and Her Monster. I believe that's also available. Might be on Hulu as well, to be able to stream. If not, obviously you can buy it on the different platforms, Amazon, Apple, all that stuff. Let me see, is it streaming somewhere? It's on AMC Plus. If you guys have that, to check it out. Like I said, it didn't really stick the landing for me, but you guys might like it. What other films that came? Flamin' Hot movie I thought was a solid directorial debut by Eva Longoria. Very heartfelt moment, even though it kind of sucked. If you guys are familiar with the story, it's about the guy who made the Flamin' Hots. The real story apparently was everything was false in the movie. It didn't take a lot of the stuff that was in the film didn't happen in real life. So that kind of sucked. But as I guess not fictional, but I guess just as a movie goes, I enjoyed it. What else do we have? Extraction 2 was a great action film. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I didn't hate it, man. Look, I think I gave it a 3.5. Before the film had came out, I was in such an indie mood because I had watched all the other. Did I do a written review for this? I had watched all the Indiana Jones films leading up to it, and I was just I don't know. I was having a good time. What did I say about this film? A very satisfying Indiana Jones film. James Mangold explores the history of one of the most beloved characters. Explores, yeah, man. I'm just trying because I haven't watched it since I saw it in theater. Yeah, it explored the past of Indy in a very interesting way. Definitely has some callbacks to the previous films. The action wasn't as memorable as the previous films. I really like Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Yeah, Matt Mikkelsen and Holbrook, I wish they were a little bit more prominent in the movie. But yeah, nonetheless, I lean, what is that? 3.5? Yeah, 3.5 out of 5, man. I had a good time with Indy, man. I didn't hate it as much. The CGI didn't take me out at the beginning, as it did for some people, even though that's a very long sequence. It's like a 20-minute opening scene. But I enjoyed Indy, man. What else do we have here? Past lives talked about very much on this channel. You guys can check out my thoughts on that and see if it made my top 10. Spoiler alert, it did. Blackberry was a freaking-tastic movie, man. Oh man, Blackberry was so good. I had saw it a couple months after it released, and obviously I think it premiered at one of the film festivals, and it was spoken highly of. And a lot of times, some of those more highly spoken about films don't really always live up to the expectation and live up to the hype, but this one definitely did, man. I really, really enjoyed this film. Did I do a review on this? I didn't write a review, but I know I did like a short video on it and spoke his praises. What a great film, great acting. Glenn Howerton, man. Shout out to Sunny in Philadelphia. That was one of my favorite shows back in the day. I'm many seasons behind, but that's the best performance I've ever seen of his, man. That was a fantastic movie. They cloned Tyrone, man. What a great movie. That actually did make my honorable mentions this year. I love it so much. Had such a good time. Love the social commentary. Love the freaking cast, man. I did a post on X this past weekend about it was a question about who's your favorite trio of films this year. And I had to put them on my list, man. Jamie Foxx, Sienna Paris, and John Boyega. Yo-Yo Fontaine and Slick Charles. three of my favorite performances from a trio this year. I absolutely love them in this film. And what a fantastic movie, man. If you guys haven't seen it, Clone Tyrone, it is on Netflix. It is a fantastic film. Jewel Taylor, who I believe that was his directorial debut, hell of a job by you. Can't wait to see what you do next. Hopefully, you might be able to bring that trio back on his next project. But yeah, man, if you guys haven't seen it, Clone Tyrone, it is amazing to say the least. But let me see what you guys are talking about in the chat before we continue to go down our list of some smaller gems or underrated films. When Evil Lurks, it's a film that we'll talk about a little bit later that I did get a chance to see. Well, I hated the parody movie there. Didn't get around to the Blackening. Yeah, and again, very much of, and like I said, the back end of the spoof movies kind of took a turn for the worse. But in its heyday, at least for my heyday growing up, the Scary Movie 1 and 2 were like some of my funniest, some of my best experiences in the theater was seeing those films with family and friends. I love those movies. I saw Outlaw Johnny Black, which was funny. Is that what's my man's name? Jaleel White? Is that his name? I don't think it's Jaleel. I might have made that up, but I know it's Michael. Who's Jaleel White? Who is Jaleel White? Michael White, I think is his name. It was good or it was funny. You said Indiana Jones is a great movie in my opinion. Yeah, again, I don't think it's the best of the franchise, but I definitely don't understand the hate for the. Well, not hate, but I know a lot of people didn't like it. It didn't do well at all financially. But it also, I don't think it did that good critically. Oppenheimer, you can say, I love Oppenheimer. Cobweb, listen, y'all, if you're looking for a really interesting slow burn murder, I'm saying murder mystery, but no, a thriller mystery horror film, Cobweb is a really, really good watch. I don't know if that is available to stream, but it is a really good film that has really great performances by the little kid is great in the film, and is complimented by Lizzie Kaplan and Anthony Starr. Shout out to the greatest villain on TV with Homelander. But Cobweb is also available on Hulu. And if you guys have Hulu, so it's an hour and a half horror, suspense, thriller, mystery that pretty much follows this young kid who starts to see and hear things in the wall, and he's exploring it, and it's something in the wall. It's not all up in the kid's head. It was this 8-year-old Peter. Yeah, it's not a make-believe fictitious story that a little kid made up in his head. It's something behind that wall, and I'll just leave it at that. Very, very good movie. That was definitely one of my favorite horror films of the year. And another little quick plug, I did make a little YouTube short sharing my my top 5 or top 10 horror films of the year. So keep an eye out for that video coming pretty soon. Talk to Me, very much a big fan of that. Love the new Ninja Turtles film. I love that they actually made them teenagers, which is you would think it's in the title. Why don't we get them as teens as often? And I love some of the past adaptations of the characters and interpretation of the characters, but this is one of my favorites, no doubt. Brother, if you guys haven't seen Brother, man, listen, this young man here, Aaron Pierce, if I believe is his name, yeah, and Lamar Johnson too is another great up and coming actor, but Aaron Pierce, y'all, I think this man, all these goddamn ads, I think this man is shaping up to have a all-time great career. The path that he's on right now, and the films I've seen of his and the projects I've seen of his, the first time I saw him was in Underground, which was the Barry Jenkins show on Amazon about the Underground Railroad. That show is immaculate, one of the best miniseries I've ever seen. Obviously, it's a tough watch for the subject matter. He was so great in that show, and I'm like, who is this dude? Who is this? Am I in a time machine watching a young Denzel? Yes, a young Denzel. This dude has that type of prowess and that type of persona and that type of energy to him. From that show, I didn't really like Old. He's in Old, and he was okay in the film, but the film just wasn't for me. And he's been in some other. He was in a film that I really enjoyed that everyone hated this past year by the name of Foe. Him, Paul Mescal, and Saoirse Ronan. But he is a excellent actor, and his acting is on full display. And brother, it says this in 2022, but I believe it got a full theatrical release in 2020. This year is how I saw it through a screener. Listen, man, this film is so damn good. This is another movie that I want to recommend you all check out if you haven't already. It is heartbreaking. It is incredibly well written. It is so earned in the emotions that you go through in this film, and how it all kind of wraps up. It's gonna, I'm telling you now, it's heartbreaking. It's gonna break your heart. But man, it's a coming of age story with just world class performances, especially from my man, like I just talked about, Aaron Pierce. I'm trying to see if it's available to stream, but I'm not finding it anywhere. But look it up, man. I highly recommend you all check it out. Oh, is it on Netflix? Hold on, it might be on Netflix, y'all. Let me pull it up here. Um, is it on login, brother? Yes, it is on Netflix. Listen, y'all, go check this movie out. You will not be disappointed. It's great. It is great. It's great. So let's see. Let's see what else we got on here. And also drop your list in the chat too, guys. Some underrated movies that you guys saw this year that maybe didn't get the love or the attention that you all think it deserved. Gran Turismo, very great movie. Very surprised by how well that movie was made because the promotion leading up to it wasn't that great, if I'm being honest with you. I remember seeing the trailer like in every movie I saw. I didn't do a written review for it, but I know I have a video on it on the YouTube channel. But really great movie, man. Neil Blomkamp finally made a good movie, his first one in years, if you ask me. But Gran Turismo was great. I think that's also streamed on Netflix. Blue Beetle. Man, I'm sad at that. Well, number one, if y'all know me, I'm a DC fan. The DCEU went out on a whimper, dude. From Shazam, obviously the Flash bomb, the Blue Beetle bomb, and obviously Aquaman right now is I think doing okay, and mostly because of the international market. But Blue Beetle, I really love the family, the performances from the family, the themes of the strong family that our main character had. But the unfortunate thing about Blue Beetle is you've seen it 1,000 times. It was very much played into all the superhero tropes that we've seen a bunch of times, which kind of was not reinventing the wheel, which not every superhero movie has to reinvent the wheel. But when you've seen these same, narratives of how the origin story and the villains and how it plays in, it's just like, I wish there was a little bit more originality going on. But I'm happy to see the actor will be, and hopefully not only the actor, but what comes with him, his family and all that stuff. I hope that is brought back into the DCU because James Gunn has announced that the actor will be back. But I hope that also means that his family and the characters surrounding him will be tagging along because I really love that ensemble. As a Steph Curry basketball fan, this is his documentary, which is on Apple TV Plus. Really interesting insight on his kind of a comeback story, if you want to call it that. If you guys follow basketball, the Warriors is the best team in the past 10 years, winning 4 out of the past 7 championships, I think, or 8 championships or whatever. And he's, entered a conversation as not only the greatest shooter of all time, but one of the greatest players of all time, if you ask me. But nonetheless, it kind of showed that season when they beat the Celtics and, coming off the seasons where Klay Thompson was hurt, stuff going on with Draymond and how they made it back to the top of the mountain. But also it in parallel to that, it showed his beginnings of, high school, going into college, how he was, the small NBA or small prospect, really not a lot of attention due or was put on him. But then if you guys follow his run, the NCAA run, it was fantastic. So if you're a basketball fan, or even if you're not, and you're familiar with Steph Curry, you want to know a little bit more about his story, how he literally is underrated, came in the lead, not really, people didn't anticipate much of anything from him. But like I said, if you ask any basketball fan, he is the greatest shooter of all time, but also in the conversation of one of the greatest players to ever pick up a basketball. So I don't watch too many docs, but that was definitely one that stood out to me. What else do we have here? The Nun. Definitely, I enjoyed it. I didn't really get that much attention, but I really enjoyed that. Fair Play, talked about on the channel. No One Will Save You. Had a review on that. I wish the creator got more love, man, because I love the creator, man. Visually, it's stunning. uh, similar to Blue Beetle in the sense of that it's taken a lot of things that we've seen from other science fiction films and not necessarily reinventing the wheel, but doing it in its own unique way. Like, here's the thing about movies to me. If you see enough movies, you're going to see a lot of the similar story beats, right? A lot of movies are similar in what they're, getting to A to B, but it's how you handle those tropes and how the performances kind of elevate things that you've seen before. And this, to me, it kind of falls in that conversation. Yes, it has Blade Runner vibes, and other great science fiction films that's come out in the past. But I love the visual palette that it gave, as well as the performance, especially from the young lady that was the AI that we were following. So I really enjoyed the creator, and I wish more people saw it, man. But nonetheless, a film that I enjoyed. These next set of films were movies that I saw at a film festival, Fantastic Fest, which I was very much happy to be a part of and covering that. These ads are killing me. But yeah, these were some really great movies. Strange Darling was freaking fantastic. I believe that's hasn't gotten a release date for next year yet, but keep an eye out for Strange Darling. Trust me, y'all, it's one of the best mystery twists that I've seen in a film in a very long time. The Coffee Table, very disturbing Spanish film that the first 10 minutes of that film, I almost cut it off because it was just like, that is dark. One of the most delightful films I've seen this past year is River. It's a time traveling film that I really much enjoyed. What else did I see that I really enjoyed from Fantastic Fest? One Percenter, great martial arts movie. It's a movie within a movie, which I really enjoyed. The Last Stop at Yuma County was fan-freaking-tastic. The Lucky Day was great. So definitely some films that keep an eye out for that will be dropping in 2024 that I really much enjoyed. And I did a video on covering Fantastic Fest and a little bit more thoughts on those films. That's on my YouTube channel, which you guys can check out if you haven't already. What are some films? Foe, man. Foe got people hated Foe. I don't know why. I love that movie. Again, I talked about it earlier with Aaron Pierce, but Aaron Pierce, Saoirse Ronan, Paul Mescal. It's a science fiction futuristic movie. Kind of has some shades of Interstellar, if you may, but a really interesting drama that involves a marriage that's not on the best of terms, and the husband has to go off to space, and while he's in space, the government sends the wife, who's played by Saoirse Ronan, a fill-in, an AI robot. So very, very interesting film, no less. That a lot of people hate it, but I enjoyed it. Let's see what y'all talking about in the comments before we get to some other underrated movies of the year. And then we'll wrap up probably another 20 minutes or so just to kind of get the rest of the day going for you all out there. What? Maxine, how do you fall asleep during a great movie? I don't know if it's streaming yet, but I definitely give it a third time. Third time's a charm, right? I love Creator, and I hope you get to see it in its full, full runtime without any naps, and no intermissions. It's not even that long of a film, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's like a 2-hour movie, if I'm not mistaken. Nun 2, I'm sorry, let me pull that back up from May. Nun 2, better, 100%, 100%, so much better. The story was so much more intriguing. And some really good jump scares. I love that goat demon towards the end of the movie. Let's see. Someone said something about TMNT. The ending of the film was so cool, heartwarming. Yeah, I'm really excited for that expansion of this particular story because I really much enjoyed that movie. Blue Eye Samurai. I heard great things about that. And also, I'm going to wrap up the film side of it all. We'll talk about some TV shows when we wrap up. But yeah, I heard that film or show is great. Jamie saying, hey, everyone, Happy New Year's Eve. Happy New Year's Eve to you, Jamie. Thank you for stopping by. Hope you're doing well. And on that note, yeah, guys, let me take this down for a second. Speaking of Happy New Year and all that stuff, just taking a moment to appreciate you all that are joining me live and having some fun discussions about some of these more underrated movies that maybe didn't get the attention I think it deserved. But just the year in general, man, I really much appreciate every single one of you all supporting the channel, whether that's liking, sharing, commenting. Sometimes there's super chats, there's super thanks. So I really do thank you all for the support this past year, man, because it has been a very interesting year for me on a personal level, but on a professional level on this platform. We've continued to grow. This YouTube channel has opened up so many opportunities for me. Joining a film association, being able to talk about movies on television once a month here in St. Louis, meeting some great people within the space. Not to brag or anything, but this is this past year I've had a couple people come up to me in like public settings, Targets, some movie theaters, like, hey, are you Elliot from MovieFiles? And I'm like, yeah, I am. And like, just like, that's crazy to me. Which, by the way, for my local St. Louis people, if you follow the channel, if you see me, by all means, say what's up. Because I love that. That happened a couple times this past year. That just put a big smile on my face. But even putting that aside, man, I'm just so thankful for the community and you guys supporting the channel throughout these last few years and throughout this past year. And I really want to turn it up another level for 2024, man. Like I said, I'm gonna bring back the live streams, continue to do my movie reviews and movie breakdowns. I experimented with it last year. I kind of fell off just because of timing, but I want to do more of like analysis, like breakdowns in what it meant, for me, or my interpretation, like in and explain videos. I had a fun time doing. They just take a lot to put together sometime. But I want to bring those back into the channel and bring back collabs, man, because like I mentioned, this channel has brought or introduced me to some really great people. I want to bring back collaborations with familiar faces, but also new faces. So all from Jamie's comment. What a fantastic year for this channel, and it's all due to you guys support here. So thank you, Jamie, for the comment, but also thank you to everyone that's watching live or watching us on the replay for supporting this channel. So yeah, let's see. The same way I fell asleep to The Boy and oh my goodness, Xavier, how you listen? I will say The Boy and the Heron is a slow burn, but if you're familiar with the filmmakers' kind of storytelling methods, and also internationally speaking, films are just kind of handled differently as far as like allowing stories and characters and scenes to breathe, which I know sometimes in more Western Hollywood films, things are like quick, bang, bang, boom, boom, boom. Gotta get going. And listen, I love me some big blockbuster Hollywood movies, but I also love just as much in most cases international filmmaking. So I know the Boy and the Heron definitely has a meticulous type of pacing to it, but I really enjoyed that film. And also the creator. So how do y'all fall asleep during movies? No, I'm joking. I've never fell asleep at like a theater, like going to a movie and seeing a film in theaters. But I've fell asleep obviously watching movies at home in the comfort of my own home. But definitely go back, Xavier, and watch The Boy and the Heron. It's a really good movie. It all kind of comes together at the end. And Maxine, go back and watch for the third time. Watch The Creator. Two great movies. Thank you so much. What's up, Justin? How we doing, man? Hope you're doing well. Happy New Year's Eve to you and your family, my friend. It's always good seeing your name in the chat, my man. All right, so let's get back to this list here on some underrated movies, some hidden gems for me this past year, and then we'll wrap up with some TV show talk, and then we'll probably transition to some like Q&A type stuff before we call it a day. For you all can enjoy your New Year's Eve and have all the fun in the world. Let's see, Totally Killer, horror fans. This is a really fun science fiction slasher movie that caught me by surprise. So that trailer was not that great, but it was a really good time. And I don't know how well it did for Amazon, but I wouldn't be opposed to seeing another one based on how things wrapped up. Really enjoyed that film. A film that I did not enjoy, and quite frankly, again, this is the best of live stream today. The Exorcist Believer is probably the worst film I saw all year. I didn't see too many stingers because I like to pride myself on like navigating through. I'm not gonna like that, so I'm just not going to even watch it. Sometimes you can be surprised. I always allow a film to. I always try to give a film a shot, obviously. But if I trailers, who's making it, who's involved, story. If I hear some things about it, then I try to avoid it. So I always try to avoid films I know just probably won't work for me. And I gave this a chance. What a bad movie. I don't want to spend too much time on the negatives in today's stream, but I did not like that movie at all. Naiad, I talked about on the channel. Reptile, a very underrated, kind of slept on Netflix film with great performances. Benicio del Toro, excellent. Justin Timberlake was a pretty interesting performance in that. Alicia Silverstone. It's a really good throwback, kind of not who done it, but a really good throwback kind of thriller involving a policeman who is trying to figure out this murder. Justin Timberlake is a realtor, and his girlfriend was brutally murdered at like an open house that she was holding. And obviously, in these type of cases, the first suspect is the husband and the boyfriend. So they're looking into him, but then you find out that she was maybe involved in some stuff, and the Benicio del Toro's character is looking into it. He finds there might be some corruption in the police, his where he works and whatnot. So it's a really good, like I said, thriller mystery on Netflix that I very much enjoy. It's a weird tone to it. It starts off like kind of I don't want to say like a satire, but it was like a weird tone at the beginning, but it really comes through in the second and third act. So another underrated film that was on Netflix is an international film called Nowhere. Long story short, this young lady and her husband, it's like I think it's like a futuristic dystopian timeline where in the future, like the government's like killing people in the streets, and people that are immigrants aren't able to come to different parts of the I can't remember what the shakedown was, because most of the film is you're following one character, but I believe it's something like that where the world's gone to shit pretty much, and you can't travel. What is it? Attempting to survive in the middle of nowhere. A young lady pregnant escapes from her country's in war, and she's trying to escape, her and her husband, and they end up getting split up, and she's pregnant, and she gets trapped in this container, and it's in the middle of the ocean. So she's pregnant, she's trying to give birth. There's obviously, as you would imagine, there's water, there's temperature increases, decreases, there's food, that's lack of food, there's hallucination. So it's a really interesting survival film that I very much enjoyed. It's not a perfect movie by any means, but if you guys have Netflix, definitely check it out. Birth, Rebirth, it was an okay film. Another kind of Frankenstein, dark, disturbing tale. But speaking of dark and disturbing, if you guys have Shudder, I believe it's on Shudder. When Evil Lurks, and this is for my real horror fans out there, because I don't suggest this to just like anyone. This is to me, the most disturbing movie I've seen all year is When Evil Lurks. Like I said, if you guys have Shudder, I believe it is still streaming on Shudder. I think it's a Shudder exclusive. I saw it at the Fantastic Fest. The most disturbing film that I've seen all year. And I'll just leave it at that. The basic premise is this is a small town, another international film, which again, for my movie fans, especially for those say, oh, this year a movie sucked. Like, I don't know. Maybe just the movies you saw suck, but this is a really good year for film. But when you feel that way, I always suggest people to step out of your comfort zone, step out of the stuff that we get here in the US, watch some international movies, movies from Spain, movies from Japan. And there's so many great international markets that make some of the best films. And yeah, anyway, step out of your box sometimes, explore some of these more smaller films. And this one, again, I'm not saying this is for everyone, but if you are a horror fan, and particularly possession demon type of movies, this is a very Talk to Me had a very interesting premise of like things that we've seen before of like possession movies, and had its own innovative, creative way of telling that story. This is a very interesting way of like a possession story of like, it's almost as like it's a disease that can be passed on from one person to the next, and it's very dark. Very dark. I'll just say that. Again, it's on Shudder, and it's on for my horror fans, my real people that like those type of movies. Check it out. Saltburn, spoke about on the channel. Killer, Five Nights at Freddy's, Rustin. I am going to take a moment to spotlight this film. I very much enjoyed this movie. I'm kind of sad that it kind of went under the radar. And this is another conversation about Netflix. They just kind of dump movies on their platform and don't really, have the proper promotion for them to really get it out there. But this is about the Rustin, a real life individual. He pretty much is responsible for a lot of great activism throughout, throughout his time on Earth, but in particularly throughout the civil rights movement. And he is one of the people that was responsible for doing for putting together the march in was it 1963, during the civil rights movement. And it's a movie about the unsung heroes, and I didn't know about Russ. I didn't know about his story, but after watching this film, what a great individual. He had his own trials and tribulations that he went through. He had his own flaws in his personality and whatnot, but he was someone that when he stepped into a room, you knew he was there. You felt his presence, you felt his passion, and just all that being said, from what I read after I saw the movie and some of the things I've seen of the real life individual, Coleman Domingo truly captures the essence and the soul of that beautiful human being that just did so many great things throughout the civil rights movement, just did so many great things in general in his life. But Coleman Domingo is fantastic, a great ensemble cast. Great movie, man. Like I said, it's a story about unsung heroes, and just showing that monumental time during the civil rights movement. That was, something that I don't know that we'll ever see again. And I don't know if we have seen since then, as far as just all walks of life standing for one cause, which is, social, being able to be a human, right, and have rights, as a human being in America. So it's a really beautiful story. It's on Netflix. Like I said, it kind of went under the radar because of Netflix. To me, does a terrible job at marketing the films, especially films that have great messages. To me, sometimes they just kind of like throw it out there. I mean, hell, even David Fincher's The Killer, it was just like, oh, it's out. So neither here nor there. Rustin is a film I highly recommend you all check out, which is on Netflix. What else do we have here? Holdovers, Quiz Lady, Priscilla, Bottoms. I wasn't able to talk about. I didn't see it when it came out. I don't even think we had a screener or a screening when it came out earlier in the summer. Kind of went under the radar to me, as far as like I remember the people that saw it spoke highly about it. But nonetheless, man, we were talking about spoof movies earlier with The Blackening. This was a throwback to one of my favorite comedies of all time, of like that early 2000s comedy films like Superbad. And it's kind of like 2008, 2005 or 4 or 2007, if I'm not mistaken. This is kind of that. This is like a throwback to that type of style of comedy, which I really enjoy, of just like, kids in high school doing things that we all did in high school, try to go to parties and try to get into relationships and whatnot. But very, very, now this is a very unlike Superbad. This is more of taking the fantastical route of the storytelling, of just over the topness. And it kind of threw me off at the beginning. Like, this movie is like all over the place tonally, but the basic premises are two main leads are they create a fight club, an all girls fight club, to hit on the girls they like in school. And what comes with that is just craziness, insanity. And again, it took me a while, like the first 20-25 minutes, because it is over the top. Like, it is like a a slapstick comedy at first, and it's just like people are saying and doing crazy things. But once it kind of finds his footing, and again, comedy is subjective, obviously, but I found it to be hilarious. I don't know if Bottoms is on. I know it's streaming somewhere, but again, and it gets an endorsement from me because I thought it was freaking hilarious. And I love these two young ladies here on the screen now. They have really kind of carved out their lane as far as being creative people that do great projects and have a good time doing so. So it's on MGM Plus, which I don't know anyone that has that. So many damn apps out there, but you can get it on. You can rent it through Amazon and Voodoo. But if you have MGM Plus, a recommendation over here, man. What did I say about Bottoms, by the way? I'm just curious on what my thoughts were. Like I said, I saw it, what is it, November 4th, and it came out earlier in the year. So I saw it much later than when it was talked about. Finally got a chance to see it. A little bit, like I said, all over the place. But once the Fight Club part started, that's when the film just took off. Yeah, Rachel and Oye was great. Started off rough and grew on me. Overall, realized when people, yeah, it was a good movie, man. Like I said, comedy is obviously so subjective, but I thought it was hilarious. And if you guys are looking for just like a nice fun time with some really great, crazy, funny characters. And I definitely check out Bottoms. Let me see. Is there any underrated films on this list? No. May December talked about All of Us Strangers. I saw this back in November, I think is when I saw it. This is a beautiful movie. Did I write? I know I shot my review. I haven't edited it yet because I just the end of the year get all the screeners and all that stuff came in about. But it's I shot my review. I have to edit it. I'm gonna probably wait till it comes out like nationwide, which I believe is like the first or second week of January. So keep an eye out for that. But nonetheless, you have Adam Scott. Let me just pull up the synopsis. This is I spoke highly about it, but let me see. All of us hurt, all of us hope, all of us love. One night, screenwriter Adam is in a near empty tower block in temporary London and has a chance to encounter with a mysterious neighbor, Harry, who's played by Paul Mescal. And they kind of hit it off. But the thing that happens with our main character, played by Adam, Adam Andrew Scott, who plays Adam, he is trying to write a novel, trying to write a screen. No, he's trying to write a screenplay for a TV show, and he's having like writer's block. And he he starts to kind of reminisce about him growing up as a kid, and he decides to walk to his childhood home one night, and lo and behold, he comes across his parents who look exactly the same as he saw them as a kid. And there's a reason for that, that he sees them in that light, or sees them in that appearance. And I won't give the reasons why. But it is a very well done film with amazing performances by Andrew Scott, who I don't know if he's going to get any love for the Oscars, but in my book, I would definitely have him as a front runner for best leading male performance. Paul Mescal is great, but the actors, Claire Foy, who's a great actress, she plays her mom, his mom, and what's my man's name? The guy that played his dad, who I've seen in other projects, he was great too. Who was his name? Jamie Bell. Yeah, Claire Foy and Jamie Bell are amazing. So again, keep an eye out for my review. I'll be dropping that closer to its release date, which, like I said, I think is sometime next month, middle of next month. All of Us Strangers plays both as a dream and a nightmare with some incredible. Again, I don't have to read this whole thing. Follow me on Letterboxd if you guys are on Letterboxd. But keep an eye out for this review. A very good movie that I'm really excited to actually share my full thoughts on once I edit. I have like a couple reviews, a couple movies I saw last month that I will be putting out for you guys pretty soon. Let me see. Is there anything on this list that I didn't talk about too often on this channel? Dream Scenario, really highly enjoyed that. The Taste of Things, one of the listen, for my foodies out there, this is the greatest movie I've ever seen about making food. This is again, I love my international movies. This is a French film. I believe it's French. Yeah. And it pretty much follows these two people here. Forgive me, I don't remember their names. But she's she works for this gentleman who lives in this very luxurious old. This is like in the 1800s, I think, or early 1900s. She cooks for him, and she's been working for him for like 20 years, and they've always had this will they won't they relationship, some little nightcaps, if you may, but never made it like official. But he finally builds up the courage to make his move on her, and some stuff happened in the film. But it's a very great emotional drama that I really enjoy. But the foodie in me, the food eater fat boy in me was salivating at the mouth watching this film. I kid you not. The first 15, 20 minutes is her making this meal for him and his comrades, or him and his peers or whatnot. And some of the stuff I would never eat. Like they're cooking they're cooking stuff that I would probably never. I need to experiment more with food. But the food they were making, this is not my cup of tea. But nonetheless, they made it look good. Like I would try it if she made it. Like the first 20 minutes is them making a meal. And it was the most delicious, captivating, most like the film is one of the best looking movies I've seen all year. Like it is so clean, it is so crisp, it is just delicious. This is the way I would describe this movie, is a delicious movie with a great love story with some great performances. It gets emotional too at certain points, but the taste of things is fantastic. I believe this is out. Again, this is part of the, at the end of the year, we get all these movies to for your consideration. And this was one of them from Sony, Taste of Things. I believe it's out internationally, but in the US, let me see, when does it come out? If it's not already out. Yeah, it came out in France in November. It premiered at Cannes in May, and then I believe it will be I don't know when it's coming out in the US, but listen, man, February. It's going to have a limited theatrical. It's going to be IFC Films, and it will be coming to limited theaters in February, and then a wide release February 14th, which is my birthday month. So it might be hard to find because it is a small independent film. But if you guys get a chance to see it, it's fantastic. Like, and from me to you, the tip from me to you: do not watch this movie on an empty stomach because you will be starving while watching. The food is delicious. American Symphony, really good doc. Again, I don't watch too many docs, but this is a really good doc on John Batiste, him and his wife, who was going through a rare cancer, and it was him doing his first like big symphony. Really good film. I don't know too much about him personal life. I know obviously he's a great artist, but yeah, really good doc on Netflix. Elaine, fantastic movie. Thomasin McKenzie, really great up and coming actress. But Anne freaking Hathaway, obviously been following her since like the Princess Diaries and all that stuff. Devil Wears Prada. She's a great actress. I've always thought she was, an attractive woman. She channeled her inner sexiness. Like she was like, every time she was on screen, like you just was so enamored by her. Like she plays this, long story short of this film, this takes place in like the 1960s. Thomasin McKenzie, it's like a small town. She works at not a prison, but like a youth, like juvie or whatever, / mental institution. Her dad's like an ex-cop or ex-police. His wife, her mom passes away. He like loses his mind, gets drunk, doesn't work for the police force anymore. And again, she's just living her life, right? She's very peculiar individual to Thomasin McKenzie character. But then all of a sudden, Anne Hathaway comes in, bombshell blonde, from it looks like she came off the set of like a Marilyn Monroe movie. She comes in and just completely captivates McKenzie's character. And I don't want to give it away, but there's a twist that happens like literally within like, and that is kind of it caught me by surprise, but it also like where it picks up, it's like it's only like 10 minutes left or 15 minutes left. So it kind of wraps up and rushes things a little bit too quick for my taste. But the build up, you know something was off with Anne Hathaway's character when you meet her. And it's a sexual undertone. Like she's very much attracted. Thomasin McKenzie is rightfully so, because again, when you all see the film, if you see it, just watch the trailer. Anne Hathaway is gorgeous in this movie, but it has a really interesting twist that I didn't see coming, because I'm like, oh, this is going to end up being like a, again, I don't want to give too much away because the less you know, the better. But it's a really interesting film. I saw it earlier in the month or mid-November, and it's by Neon. I believe it has a limited theater release, but I believe it's going to be streaming as well. So yeah, this film was something else, y'all. Again, the twist I didn't see coming. And I'm always someone that's like, oh, I saw that coming. I did not see the twist coming with this film. But great performances across the board. Yeah, it came out December 1st in theaters, and I believe it will be, let's see here. Yeah, limited release in US. So it'll probably be available to stream sooner rather than later, because it didn't, obviously it's like a smaller film. So yeah. Iron Claw, I spoke highly about that film. You can check out my review on the channel. Very much one of the most devastating films of the year. Another court drama. I was talking about Said Omar earlier in the stream. Anatomy of a Fall is it's very long, 2.5 hours. It starts off a little slow to me, but then once we kind of pick up the synopsis, this is a husband and a wife and a kid. Husband and a wife have a strain on their relationship. Long story short, the husband ends up dying, as you can see from the poster. But the question is, how did he end up dying? Was he pushed? Was it, was on his own accords? So obviously, that's when the court proceedings come in. She goes on trial, and as the trial goes on, you start to wonder, well, did she kill her husband? Because they start to get into the relationship aspect, and there's a scene. I believe her name was Sandra Haller, if I'm not mistaken. There's a scene that takes place in the kitchen involving her and her husband getting into like this really big fight before before all the stuff hits the fan. Man, that scene in the kitchen is fantastic. And also, there's a dog. First off, the little kid in this movie is fantastic. Really, one of the best kid performances I've seen all year. There's a dog in this movie by the name of Snoop. I kid you not. They need to make an award for best performance by an animal, because the dog in this movie does something I've never seen a dog do in my entire film watching experience. Like, the acting on that dog was award winning. Anatomy of Fall is fantastic, y'all. I definitely believe the hype. Like I said, it starts off slow, but it definitely all comes together at the end. Another small film. We're getting into nitty gritty here. We're almost wrapping it up here, and then we'll talk about some shows and questions that you guys have, and then we'll call it. I'll wrap up around 4, so about 20 minutes or so. Having a good time on my end, not rushing anything. I just know that New Year's Eve. You guys want to have fun, which again, thumbs up, share, continue to throw your comments in the chat, and I'll get to them here as we wrap it up. Another independent, I think it's a German film. Is it German? I don't know. I think it is German. Or let me correct myself. Let me make sure that is a German produced film. But this film, as you all can see on the screen now, is called The Teacher's Lounge. And let me tell y'all something about this movie, man. This movie is fantastic. Number one, it is about a teacher. Yeah, it is German because I couldn't remember what they spoke German. It's about a teacher who gets involved in like this situation at school where there's a thief at school that's like going in the teacher's lounge and like taking their money and taking the personal belongings. And the principal and this teacher, the main teacher that we follow, one of her students has put the question, and it kind of sets off this chain of events of like who done it type of thing. And it becomes like this small, innocent, cute film and becomes like a straight up drama by the end of things. Like, the tension is incredible in this film, and it kind of peters out towards the end, but that setup in the middle is just fantastic, man. Teacher's Lounge was a really interesting watch, and I believe that's another film that's going to be coming out early 2024 to a larger audience. The Zone of Interest, you can check out my review on that film. I know people love it. I know it's on a lot of like top 10s lists for like bigger outlets, but it did not work for me. But again, you can check out my review on that. The Boy and the Heron did a short video on that. Very much enjoyed that. The Color Purple, love that film. You can see my full review on my channel for it, but very much enjoyed that. Highly recommend it. Society of the Snow, keep an eye out for my review. Coming soon. It comes on Netflix this coming Friday. Based on a true story, another survival movie by J.A. Bayona. So keep an eye out for that. Godzilla, I finally got a chance to see that. Loved it. May or may not have made my top 10 list. If you see my thumbnail, you'll get your answer there, but very much a fan of that. Talked about Wonka on the channel here. You can check that out. And any more small films. Robot Dreams. We'll wrap it up with this, talk about shows, and then we'll call it a day. Robot Dreams is a fantastic animated film that pretty much follows this. First off, a very different approach to storytelling because there is no dialogue at all. It's a little bit long. It's not a little bit. It is a long film. It's too long, in my opinion. It's like an hour and 45 minutes for an animated film with no dialogue. It's pretty. You really got to be captivated and locked in. And it took me a bit to kind of get, oh, this is cute. And it comes off very much like a short story that just felt like it was a little bit too prolonged. But nonetheless, when the meat of the story comes together, which is pretty much following this dog who's very lonely, he's looking, yearning for friendship, yearning for relationships. He sees this ad on the television to buy this robot. He buys the robot. They hit it off. He has like all the stuff he sees of people like enjoying each other's companies, doing things like walking in the park, going to the beach, loves his robot. And unfortunately, this robot has a malfunction that causes them to kind of split apart. And it's a beautiful movie. Like again, it's a little too long. Like they could have definitely sped up the process, but it is a beautiful film about again yearning for relationships, but ultimately learning how to say goodbye to someone. And it's just beautiful. Animation isn't like, no disrespect to the animators, but it's not like I wasn't in awe or floored by like some of the more, Spider-Verse or some of the more bigger well-known animated films this past year, Boy and the Heron. Like the animation didn't really like catch my eye. It's a very like cartoonish type of animation. Again, I'm not an animator, so I'm probably using some terminologies that isn't describing it that well. But the animation wasn't what stood out to me. Not that it looked bad, but it just wasn't. Some of the times when we talk about animated films, it's like, oh, the animation, is one of the first things that people talk about. But for me, the thing that was the best element of this was the story, man. It's so relatable. Something that we can all remember a time of our lives where we were yearning for relationships or friendships, and where it's like we're the only person in the world. Like, why don't I have this, right? And when you seek it out, and it's just a beautiful film, man. This is by Neon, another Neon film. A24 Neon are two of my favorite studios out there, and it's just a really good animated film that I literally saw last night. Matter of fact, so it's fresh on the mind. And that's it, man. You heard my feelings was okay. I watched that recently. And Ferrari, I did a review on that too. So there you have it, man. Some of again, I didn't talk about the big films on this kind of rundown of all the films that I talked about today, but I want to kind of just talk about some of those hidden gems that I really enjoyed and wish got a little bit more attention this year. So 150 plus movies, man, which was again, for all the people out there that thought that this was a terrible year in film. I won't entirely disagree on some of the more, like I said, bigger blockbusters that didn't really work for a lot of us. I will agree that this was a bad year for blockbusters, but I would disagree when people say this is a terrible year for movies in general, because in my opinion, it wasn't. I just feel like, again, I feel like sometimes people are afraid to jump out of their comfort zone watching certain genres, or particularly stepping out of the, into the international field of movies. Which again, I think there were some great international movies this year, whether it was Godzilla Minus One, Anatomy of a Fall, The Taste of Things, Teacher's Lounge, so on and so forth. There's so many great independent films out there. So if I were to give you guys a tip of the day for all my film watchers out there, put your foot in that international waters, man. There's some really great movies and stories being told internationally, as well as, again, even on the US side of things, that are more domestically made films. There were still some great films that were here as well. So I think overall 2023 for me was one of my most recent, as far as last 5 or 6 years. This year movies was closer to me than like the last 3 years, which was kind of hit or miss. Obviously, we know the pandemic, 2020, 2021 wasn't the most. There's like not a lot of movies out, but I think I like this year more than I like last year. I think last year had the better blockbusters for sure. Obviously, Top Gun Maverick, Avatar. Those are just two that come to mind. But the blockbusters to me were great last year. But I loved a lot of the independent films that we got this year. So there you have it, man. This is kind of my best of. And before wrapping up, just throwing out some TV shows. I didn't watch as many shows as I did previous years of the channel, just because I put the movie in MovieFiles this year. Like I watched, like I said, 150 plus movies, which next year I want to double that. Not double that. I'm speaking crazy. I want to do at least 200 plus films as far as new movies that I want to watch. But I did watch a lot more movies than I did the previous year. But that in return, I didn't watch as many shows. But as far as just throwing out some shows out there, and definitely throw some in the chat too. But Succession, again, I did my favorite shows of 2023. You can check out the full video. But Succession was one of my favorite shows this past year. Love that show so much. I'm gonna miss it so much. Barry, Swarm, Only Murders in the Building season 3, Winning Time season 2, with some shows I really enjoyed. What else do we have this year? Beef on Netflix, I thought was fantastic. The first half of Invincible was fantastic. Gen V, Shrinking. What else did I watch this year on TV? I got to finish Monarch, but Monarch was okay. I don't know if I'll put it in any top categories, but it was okay for what I've seen. Um, The Last of Us earlier this year was so great. What else did we have this year? So many great shows. Again, I didn't see them all. Again, I was in a movie theater like every other day, which I love because I love movies. But yeah, those are some shows that came to mind, guys. Let me know some of your favorite shows this past year. I know someone talked about the Blue Samurai. What were some other shows that I heard about? I know people love From. I think season 2 of From was out earlier this summer that people have always recommended that I check out. And I will one of these days. What else was some? Poker Face, the new Ryan Johnson show I heard was great on Peacock, I think. What are some other shows? Help me out in the chat that you guys love that people talked about or raved about. I'm having a brain fart on some of the shows besides the ones I mentioned. Best shows of 2023. Let me pull up a list here. Love and Death, was that any good? I wanted to watch it because I love Elizabeth Olsen. Was that a good and it was like that came out right around like a couple months. It was another that story was like done like 3 times in a row within like a small window. The Curse, I heard that's really good on Showtime, which I don't have, but I heard that's really good. Let me see here. Some other movie or other shows that people were talking about that some of these I never even heard of. Platonic, I heard was good. Was there anything out there that had people buzzing like the Jeffrey Dahmer TV show? Was there anything that popular that like held the zeitgeist? Or was like a moment that everyone Hijacker heard was good. That's a new that Idris Elba show that was on a plane. I heard that was pretty good. Silo, which I'm kicking myself for Silo. I had Silo. Shout out to Apple. I think Apple, their PR and like the way that they distribute screeners to critics and journalists is excellent because what they do is they just put it on the platform. They put it on this app you go to and it's all there versus like a little behind the scenes as like a film critic. And listen, I'm not complaining at all because I love the opportunity that I get to see things early. But a lot of times, like a Netflix show, well, not for everyone. If you're someone that has a big audience, big platform, sometimes they just give it to you without even asking. But most of the case for us regular folks, you got to like reach out to people and say, hey, my name's Elliot. I run a YouTube channel. I would love to review your show. And you send it out to emails. Sometimes you don't get a response. Sometimes they do respond and say, oh, no, we're not doing screeners, which you're lying. Nonetheless, um, Apple just puts their movies and shows on their platform like months in advance. Obviously, with an agreement of who they give it to. There's an embargo. Don't talk about it until this date hits. Long story short, this is going all the way back to Silo. I can't remember when it dropped, but I was sitting on it for months. And I watched the first episode. I'm like, there's enough intrigue there, but I'm not hooked on the show. And if you've seen Silo, which I've heard ultimately got better, because I say that to say I wasn't the biggest fan of the first episode because I was sold on original science fiction, Apple TV Plus, which has some of the best science fiction shows on TV, period to me. But I'm like, okay, I'm a sci-fi. If you guys know me, I love horror and science fiction. So it already checked that box. But then I am a huge Rebecca Ferguson fan. And she's the lead of the show, from what I understand. She's on the posters and all that. The first episode, she doesn't pop up to like the last 5 minutes of the show. I'm like, what? You lied to me. This is false. Obviously, I've heard that she's more involved in the show. But nonetheless, it just didn't work for me on the first episode. But I never went back. And I say I kicked myself in the butt because everyone talks about it so highly of it. And I just, I should have finished it, man. Anyway, I will be catching up to Silo and watching it before season 2 hits. What else came out this year? Let me see. You guys throwing some. Thank you. The Fall of the House of Usher, which I did talk about in my top 10 show list video. Fall of the House of Usher, Mike Flanagan, to me, is I don't want to say the best, but he is one of the best storytellers in regards to genre storytelling and horror in particularly. I think he does such a great job with his horror movies as well as TV shows, and particularly Haunting on Hill House. Blind Manor was cool, gothic drama. Midnight Mass, excellent. What was it called? The Midnight Book Club. I think it was the name of it, the Midnight Book or something. I didn't like that show. That's his weakest show to me. It still is still a good show on standards, on like TV standards, but it wasn't like to his level of quality. It wasn't his best show. But The Fall of House of Usher is one of his top shows, man. I love that show so much. Highly, highly recommend that. And also, just a quick plug. I did something I haven't done in a long time, which is I got the opportunity to see it like a month in advance. I watched each episode and I reviewed each episode and did like this big old video, like an hour and a half, breaking down the meaning of the connection to the Edgar Allan Poe poems and talking about the deaths and all the metaphors. Like I put a lot of work into those videos. So check those out if you guys haven't already. If you, of course, if you've seen the show, which I highly recommend. Yeah, I'm not seeing too many other things. I know, was that Taron Egerton show this year? Was Blackbird out this year, or was that last year? Let's see. Yeah, a lot of these shows I've never heard of, man. But yeah, let me know if there's some shows that you guys saw. Dead Ringers, I heard was good on Amazon. The Reacher season 2, I heard was great, which I got to check on because I like that actor and I like the Reacher. IP. Yeah. Let me know, guys. What shows did you see this year that stood out to you that you would recommend that people watch that you loved? I'm really excited for next year, though. I have a video that I shot for most anticipated shows for next year that I'm really, really looking forward to. Number one, the return of the Civil War of the Targaryens. Very excited for that. And then hopefully, House of the Dragon, by the way. Hopefully, Severance season 2 comes to the small screen. Like where the hell is Severance, man? That show was my I think it was my number 2 or number 1 of that year that it came out in 2022, 21. Can't remember. But I'm looking forward to. I'm just looking through a list of shows that I don't even know what these shows are, man. But yeah. Anyway, wrapping this. Oh, did I say The Bear? Yeah, I talked about The Bear in my video, so that's why I didn't bring it up here. But The Bear season 2 was excellent as well. Reservation Dogs, I heard is good. I heard Fargo, the new season is good. I Am Virgo, I heard was good. So yeah, there's a couple shows that I wasn't able to see or watch that I missed out on, but hopefully catch up. But anyway, with that being said, let's see. Let me run through this list, and we got another 10 minutes or so. Drop any comments, questions, concerns. Let me know why I have you all here. What videos would you like MovieFiles? I'm speaking in third person here. What videos would you like to see me maybe explore or experiment with in 2024? Once upon a time in the pandemic, I did like this throwback series of movies I missed out on that I did like reviews for, like retro reviews. Do you want to see some of those, like old school movies, or maybe movies I missed in the previous year? Let me know, man. Throw some ideas out there. What type of videos besides, my movie reviews, short form videos that I do, live streams that we'll be doing more of, watch alongs that we'll be bringing back to the channel. Besides those fun things that I love doing, what other videos would you like to see me maybe, like I said, experiment on or add to the repertoire, add to the lineup of videos that I do? Let me know in the comments before we wrap this up. And again, any questions, comments, concerns that you guys have in general, let me know as well. But what type of videos would you like me to do or explore or to try to attempt at come 2024? Yeah, Netflix is terrible at their marketing. Yeah, man. Which is crazy because it's like, it is the highest, like the biggest platform for streaming. And you would think that they would, they spend so much money on movies. You would think that's the first thing they would do is like try to promote things, but they're terrible at it. Most of the time, I don't even know a movie or show's coming out. It's like the week of. But anyway, Rustin's great nonetheless. Rustin is great. Maxine, I must have missed your holdovers review. Gotta find. Yeah, I did. Which, by the way, thank you, Maxine. Going back to not only my question I posted you all as far as like videos you'd like to see. Do you, as far as notifications go, this is just a side note. Do you guys get post notifications on my videos? Because some of my videos, do the standard numbers that I, anticipate on certain movies. Some things I know is not going to do as well because it's not as popular or it's not even out yet. But like that question there, yeah, I put my holdovers review out, well before the film had came out, and obviously it's picking up momentum because of Paul Giamatti's name is being mentioned in Best Actors, Divine's name's being brought up in Best Supporting Actress. and all that stuff. Let me know if you're getting the post notifications, because if you guys know, I post pretty frequently on the channel, whether that's a short movie review or quick thoughts on something, or it's a full length breakdown of something. Let me know if you guys are getting those notifications out there, because I would obviously would hate if you guys are not seeing my content that I'm putting out there. But anyway, um did you also say, I thought I saw a lot of movies this year? I didn't even hear about the holdovers or some of the other ones you mentioned. Yeah, it's a great. I thought you were mentioning you didn't see my review of Hold. I'm like, what the heck's going on? But no, yeah, there's a lot of great movies this year, Justin, for sure. Like I said, guys, follow me on again, not plugging myself too much, but gotta do that every now and then. Follow me on Letterbox, man. Like I said, I post pretty frequently over there as far as what I'm watching, what I thought about it. And not all the time do I get an opportunity to sit down and do a full review. So I would go to Letterbox and I would make a written review, which I'm not. I will admit, I'm not the best reviewer when it comes to the penmanship, because I think I work better like verbally speaking to a camera versus writing stuff down, because I just be like so much going on in my mind. I kind of lose focus when I'm doing like a written review. But nonetheless, I do written reviews for some films that I don't do full length reviews videos for. So definitely check me out there. But I say all that to say, when you follow me on Letterboxd, you might come across like, oh, I've never even heard of that movie, or whatever the case may be. So definitely check me out there. So quick plug on that side of things. Right, these recap videos always remind me how much I didn't see. Tasting sounds like Tasting is fantastic, and thank you, Maxine. Like I said, I pride myself on try to bringing things you guys might not have heard of or might not getting the push out there as often as I can. Obviously, there's the big stuff that we're all excited for, but I love talking about the more smaller, the little guys out there, right? I love those type of independent films. Elliot, why didn't you have Servant in your top 10? Great question. I really enjoy Servant season 4, but I didn't enjoy it as much as I did the other 10 shows that I had on my list. But very much, it had its positives. And it's, some of the story, some of the wrapping up points weren't as fleshed out as I would have had liked it had been. Like some of the stuff with the Turner family wasn't explored as much. Some of the resurrection of certain characters and just like definitive answers to certain things, and it's a lot of stuff that I thought they lost in translation on getting to that finish line. But ultimately, I think that was a really great experience with those 4 seasons. I love those conversations we had about Servant, that for the last 4 seasons or whatnot. But yeah, it just didn't make I enjoyed it, but it didn't make that top 10 list. But nonetheless, I had fun talking about that show when we did on the channel. You never even discuss half the shows on your list. Servant, what? Yeah, I talked about Servant. Servant was literally on my channel. I had a weekly breakdowns, and I did weekly breakdowns for the Changeling. So yeah, I did. I don't know what you're talking about. I got videos for both those shows. The Von Erich Family, yeah, great movie. Oh, nice. I'm excited to hear your thoughts about it. I really enjoyed Color Purple a lot. Yeah, it is a musical, which I knew going into, but yeah. Dungeons and Dragons. I didn't see Strays, but I'm glad to know you liked it. Guardians 3 was fantastic. TV House of Usher, we talked about. Haven't seen One Piece, but I heard that was great. Thank you for bringing that up. Watching Bodies. What's Bodies? Is that Bodies? Is that is it a Netflix show? It's like a Sherlock Holmes type of thing. Thank you for watching those videos. This has been one of the better years. I agree. In films, just not the mainstream. Yeah. Totally agree with you on that. Blockbuster films. Yeah, for sure. A lot of films that had a lot of behind the scenes issues. And again, we got to remember a lot of these movies that came out the past couple of years were, pandemic films that were affected heavily behind the scenes and reshoots and all that stuff too. So we're still seeing the after effects of the pandemic. So you agree with me? Yeah, that a lot of the films this year were better than that. Yeah, I totally agree with you there. I hate when I hear the worst year. It's like there's so many. When people obviously when people say that, they're only going off of their experience, obviously. But sometimes when people say, they make it like such like a matter of fact or like a broad statement. Like, this was a terrible year of movies. Like, to each your own. But it's like when I hear people say this, like, well, what movies did you see and what movies didn't you see that might change your mind if you would have seen some other movies that I think might have really stood out. But neither here nor there. I personally think, as well as movie nerdy film girl, this is a great year to movies for me. And as I said, if there's anything you want to take out of this stream, is to step out of your comfort zone and venture out to some of the international films, which I've always been a fan of exploring international movies, and they make some of the best films. For all the different genres. I agree, it's a great year. Really got into streaming this year. Highly recommend Reacher, Blue Eye Samurai, Beef. Yep, Gen V, and Mark. I gotta catch up with Monarch. I only watched the first 3 episodes, but gotta get back into it. Beef. Yep. Invincible, The Bear. Yep. I need to catch up on. We talked about that Fall House of Usher. Forgot about that. Like I said, that was, I would believe, what's her name? Not Jessica Alba. What's her name? Jessica Biel did the same story on Hulu like last year. And then like 6 months, 7 months later, she did it. The one that we're talking about here on HBO Max. And then I think someone else did the same, which is a very interesting, tragic story. I can't think of the people that were involved about the everyday woman with a family kills this other woman because she was sleeping with her husband, all this stuff. So it's a very, very interesting story. But it kind of came and went. I don't remember if a lot of people loved it or not. What's up, Ron? Long time no see, man. Shout out to you doing your damn thing on being correct me if I'm wrong, like a broadcaster for sports, which I know you're a big sports fan, and you've been doing some, covering UFC and MLB. What a fantastic career you're shaping out, man. So shout out to Ron, man, coming through, showing some love. Animated superhero. Skip over the comment. Superman. Yeah, I heard that was a really good show. Thank you for bringing that up, Ron. What was the name of that? The Journals of Superman. I can't remember the name. I didn't see it, but I heard it was great. Yeah, I heard the Curse is good. Emma Stone is just great, and Apple doesn't do enough content to sustain a monthly subscription. Yes and no. And this is the no of it all. I think that they're doing the old school HBO approach where it's not quantity, it's quality. And I much more prefer a streaming service. And it's only, not get into the finances. And I say it's only, obviously everyone has their threshold what they can afford every month. But I think Apple is like still under $10. And for under $10 a month, and plus if you have, iPhone, you can bundle it with your Apple Music, whatever the case may be. But for $10 a month, I think they have some of the best content out there. Again, it's not as frequent as Netflix or Amazon, but like I said, I much more prefer them putting out 15 to 20 shows, which I think is about their average they do the last few years they've been out. 15 to 20 shows, and not all of it is stuff that I'm into, but most of the time it's like great. Most of the shows look fantastic, especially the science fiction. Like The Foundation to me is one of the best looking shows I've seen on television. But they have big talent, great actors, great directors and stories. So I disagree with you as far, again, to each their own, as far as like, if you want to pay for it or not, because there is so many streaming services to keep up with. But I'm a big advocate of what Apple TV Plus is doing as far as the quality side of things. But I agree as far as like it doesn't have as frequently, as often as many like original movies and stuff like that. But yeah, The Adventures of Superman. Yeah. Thank you for that. I'll have a video coming out for most anticipated shows pretty soon, and one of those shows might be on the list. Severance. Where is it? Where the heck is Severance, man? I need that in my life. I Am Virgo was fun. Reservation Dogs, I heard, is a great show. Reviews of early classes will be okay. So this is where you guys are. Continue. Yeah, throw in some ideas that I would potentially want to add to 2024 as far as videos that you guys would like to see from me. So Maxine says reviews of early classics would be cool. Yeah, that is something I will definitely consider. Now, as far as like classics, are we talking 20s, 30s, 40s, or 70s, 60s? Let me know which ones you guys would be maybe interested in seeing. And also, like, are we talking like genre, independent, type of classics, like let me know. I would be open to that, on top of, obviously try to squeeze one in, like maybe once a month, doing like a retro review of like a classic. That would be something pretty cool. Definitely need your take on the curse. Yeah, I don't have Showtime, man. Like I said, we were talking about Apple TV Plus. Like, though, I have Apple, Disney, and Netflix, and that's it. I don't have Hulu anymore. That subscription ran out. And plus, just they weren't putting out stuff that I was interested in anymore. I don't have Showtime. I don't have MGM. I don't have I have Amazon, but that's through someone else. See, I don't have a lot of them like Showtime, but I hear it's great. I hear it's great. Old horror movies, interesting. Okay, that might be something to consider. Nerdy saying maybe a poll where your audience decides what movies you haven't seen that you should watch and review the film. That content is always solid in general. Yeah, that's a good idea. Nerdy Film Girl, put a poll out in the community tab. See, yeah, like yeah, that's a yeah, and not like a not like a reaction video, but like yeah, doing like a throwback. Yeah, it's a good idea. Not a good idea there. I like retro reviews since you really get into the story beats character development. I know you respect not spoiling things, but I enjoy your breakdown. Thank you, Justin. Yeah, this. So it sounds like retro reviews is something you guys would be interested in. And then, like to Nerdy's point, I can do like once a month, and I'm a big, genre fan of like science fiction, horror, maybe some movies I haven't seen in those genres, especially like going back to Maxine's comment, like old school genre based films. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Justin saying not all the notifications show. Okay. Some notifications come through. I get some, but not all. Well, that sucks. Cause yeah, like I said, I'm pretty frequently do I drop videos, like at least 2 to 3 movie reviews a week. When a big show's out, I like to do weekly recaps on those. So that sucks that YouTube is kind of not putting it out there. Got to figure that out. But thank you for the feedback. Old school movies, okay, horror movies, because I love me some horror. The Holdovers is free on Peacock. Oh yeah, go watch that. It's so good. What's up, Jeremy? What's going on, man? Holdovers is great. Yeah. All right, I think we're wrapping this thing up. Yeah, watch alongs are always a good time. I'm gonna bring those back for sure. For sure. Watch alongs are always have fun with that. Old school, yeah. You see, bringing up the old school horror. I'm gonna have to put that. I have to put that on the docket. What's going on, Skylar? Good to see you, my friend. Two video, yeah, man. As Skylar, what he's referring to earlier this morning, I dropped my top 10 movies of the year, and then obviously we're doing a stream now. So yes, thank you for stopping by. Happy New Year to you, Skylar. I was talking about Severance earlier. When that season 2 comes out, Scott, I know you're a busy person, writing your scripts and doing everything you're doing to get your stories out there. But when that show comes back, Scott, we're gonna definitely have to link up and do some of those breakdowns, man. Because I had fun when we did that live stream for the finale of Severance, and that's how we met, actually. At least via camera, was through Severance. So yeah, man, we gotta catch up sometime, Skylar, man. Happy holidays, brother. Thanks, man. Shout out to you too, Ryan. Like I said, you're doing some great things, man. Doing some great things. Adventures of Superman. Yep. Okay. Yeah, and like I said, for $10 a month, I think it's very, very reasonable for the quality that you get, from my opinion. Doing more. Yeah. They're definitely picking things up for sure. I do, or I did. I watched the first season. I covered the first season on my show. I reached out to get the season screeners for the second season, and they was like, "Oh, we'll reach back out to you when it gets close to the release date." I never heard back from HBO. So, yeah, but I heard season 2 looks pretty crazy, as did this first season. I know Paul Giamatti is a part of this second season, so I might have to go back and catch up with the what's up, Anakin, not Vader. Have to go back to check out season 2 because I love the first half of season 1, 30 coins, and I enjoyed the middle half, and then it kind of fell off to me. But yeah. Anyway, I think that's the last few questions. What's up, Calvin? He says, show more of you going to the movies in different theaters you go to. Yeah, great you brought that up. I did that for Wonka and Godzilla, where I did like a come with me to the theater type of thing, and I shot the videos in my car when I. So yeah, those and those were short form. So maybe I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Excuse me. maybe I could do like a full length video of like, a quick little intro, like expectations, hype level, and whatnot, and then showing like little like vloggy ish type of video of me, not obviously recording while driving, but going to the theater, walking into the theater, and then like yeah, I like I said, experimented with that on like a short form video, but I might expand upon it. So yeah, those are fun. But I was like, and this is like the little gotta like get out of your own head type of thing. Like I'm so weird about like recording in public and being like, recording myself and not in the confines of my own home. But sometimes you just gotta people don't care about what you're doing. We always get in our head think that someone's watching us or thinking about what we're doing. No one cares. So yeah, I gotta that would be fun to do more of those for sure. Appreciate the suggestion there, Calvin. Yeah, man. Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait, Skyler, for that show to come back. Old school horror? Do you mean like original? Yeah. So if I were to do, and I love the original, by the way, or I love the original, but I really enjoyed the remake of Texas. But yeah, something like that would be cool. I do not. I don't have either one of those, Jeremy. MGM or Epics. I don't even know what's on those platforms as far as shows go. But yeah, that would be dope. Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate the feedback, y'all. Definitely some things to to consider with 2024. Which, on that note, we're coming up on 2 hours. Again, I said it once. I said it earlier, and I'll say it again. Happy New Year's Eve to you all. 2023 was a great year for me on this channel. Great discussions. Again, some great movies, some great shows we talked about. And what makes the experience just even better is the fact that you all go on the journey with me, whether you've been here since 2017 or this is your first time watching a video of mine. I thank you all for the continued support. Again, whether that's sharing a video to your family or friend, or liking a video, or commenting on a video, whether you agree or disagree in a respectful manner, I really do appreciate the support, y'all. And I really want to level up in 2024, not only from like a viewership standpoint, but just like, again, creative, different videos, newer ideas, doing different things with the videos I'm doing now. So definitely plan on doing a lot of cool things in the next year, doing more collabs, more watch parties, experimenting with, like, again, bringing back kind of those into the in and explain videos, stuff like that. So yeah, man, I'm excited for this year, and I hope you guys are as well. And outside of the YouTube space, I hope you all in your own personal lives and your own personal endeavors have the best year ever. Like I said, financially, personal levels, relationship levels, all that stuff. I hope you all have a fantastic 2024, and I think this is going to be a good year, man. As someone that is turning, I'm entering into my mid 30s. I'm so appreciative of every day, and really looking forward to this new year, man. Which, for my basketball fans out there, shout out and rest in peace to the GOAT, Kobe Bean Bryant, who wore the number 24. So with all that being said, let's make this the Mamba year, the Mamba mentality. Let's break barriers. Let's open up doors. Let's put ourselves out there more, and let's have a great year, and doing it with a smile on our face and being kind and caring to one another while doing that. So with all that being said, thank you again for joining me today. Thank you for a great year. And I'll see you guys soon, because I will have some more videos coming in the coming days. And again, make sure those notifications are on. Hit those notification bells. And if you're like, man, I haven't seen Elliot's videos in a while, just hop onto the channel. You'll see a slew of videos that I currently are working on or have on the channel now. So with all that being said, you all are awesome. Happy New Year's Eve. Happy New Year. Happy holidays. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.